In this lecture, we will review attraction and the need to belong. The desire to form social relationships is a fundamental part of human nature. We need to be part of a stable, healthy bonds with family members, romantic partners, and friends in order to function normally. It may seem obvious to you that we have a need to belong, but although we use the word need loosely in everyday language, the stakes are higher when we claim that something is a psychological need. But what evidence is there that the need to belong is inherent to our nature? Well, there is a biological need. So in regards to the need to belong, the desire to form social relationships is a fundamental part of human nature. There is evidence of a fundamental need to belong. Like other needs, the need to belong can be satisfied in flexible ways. Belonging promotes mental and physical health. Loneliness and rejection takes a toll on mental and physical health. There is evidence that the need to belong has an evolutionary basis. For example, people of all cultures share the need to belong. Newborn infants instinctively engage other people. Social rejection activates the same stress responses as physical pain. And long-term relationships promote successful procreation and raising of offspring. We've seen that relationships are important, but how do we choose who to be in a relationship with? It is important to note that most of the research in this area has focused on attraction to members of the opposite sex, but we will also highlight the emergent interest in studying patterns of attraction among same-sex partners. For a more detailed explanation, please review my learning lectures on human sexuality and the media's influence on sex. Also, sexual behaviors and culture, to include kissing, oral sex, and same-gender experiences. I also go over the sexual health perspective and psychological perspective on sexuality. So, the basis of interpersonal attraction. There are several factors that affect how we choose others with whom we form close relationships. The first being proximity. Physical proximity is an important factor in developing relationships, although its importance is tempered by social media. Proximity's power is due in part to the mere exposure effect. Next, we have the reward model of liking. People like others whom they associate with positive feelings and dislike those associated with negative feelings. There are attributes of the person that is key to any relationship. People like those who remind them of others they like. People's self-reports of personal traits they prefer are surprisingly weak predictors of liking. And lastly, our psychological needs. People tend to like others who fulfill their needs for meaning and self-esteem. Specifically those who are perceived as similar to the self in attitudes, personality, and subjective experience, though opposites can attract under particular conditions. So let's move on now to physical attractiveness. Research reveals the importance of physical attractiveness, that people find physically attractive, and why. and the consequences for relationships. Let us first review the importance of physical attractiveness. Sexual and aesthetic appeal predict liking. An association with attractive people can bolster self-esteem, and attractive people are stereotyped to have positive traits. Composite and symmetrical faces are rated as more attractive, perhaps as a reflection of good health or because they seem familiar. Men universally prefer a waist-to-hip ratio that signals fertility. At times of peak fertility, women are more attracted to more masculine faces. Men report an ideal preference for attractiveness. Women report an ideal preference for social and financial status. In actual relationships, men and women are equally influenced by physical attractiveness and, to lesser extent, partner status. Women's stated preference for high-status men might also be changing as women achieve greater equality. And both men and women rank personality traits such as warmth and loyalty above all other factors. Now let's move on to attraction in same-sex relationships. Gay men tend to emphasize the physical attributes and masculine traits of their partner. Lesbians show more complexity in what they find attractive in a partner. And in regards to cultural and situational factors, standards of beauty vary across cultures and over time. This means the standards of beauty are not universal. Also, scarcity and status influence trends, and attractiveness can change across time and place, and perceptions of attractiveness are highly flexible. In regards to gender differences in sexual attitudes and behaviors, men and women differ in behavior and attitudes towards sex. Explaining those differences require a diversity of perspectives. The first being an evolutionary perspective. Men's attitudes reflect the reproductive advantages of mating with multiple women, while women's attitudes reflect the need to find one mate to help support child rearing. In regards to cultural influences, motives to have sex are shaped by culturally informed beliefs about personal value and fitting in. Cultural norms also affect attitudes as evidenced by changing attitude towards premarital sex across generations as well as among cultures. Now lastly, men, women, and infidelity. There is some evidence that men and women view sexual and emotional infidelity from different perspectives. Researchers debate the relative role of evolved mechanisms and cultural influences in creating these differences. If you think about our relationship psychology as a pie, one slice of that pie is our evolved tendencies. Another slice might be cultural upbringing, yet other slices might be gender differences in other relevant personality traits or the person's experiences in the immediate social context.